Hi everybody, so today we are going to be doing a little bit of an experiment in order to further learn about the coal mining industry. Before we start though, I do want to say that we are going to be handling raw food items and you may want to go wash your hands very thoroughly before we start. I would also like to point out that our raw food items are going to be touched with everyday household items, so I do not recommend that you eat any of them because of this nature, okay? All right, so before we get started with our little experiment, I do want to go over a couple of discussion questions with you. You all have been put into small groups and hopefully have no problem breaking off into these over video chat. So the first discussion question that I want to ask is, what do you think are some of the costs associated with mining coal? Take a minute, pause this video, discuss amongst yourselves, and then come back, okay? All right, so our next discussion question is, do you know what the term land reclamation means? If not, what do you think it might have to mean in regards to coal mining? Once again, take a moment, pause this video, and then talk amongst yourselves and come back. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to discuss these questions with your group, we are going to begin our experiment. So a little background information about coal mining. Coal mining is incredibly expensive, and in case you didn't know, coal is used for mainly fuel. It powers a lot of different machines and such throughout our world, and it is a very valuable resource, but it is also very expensive and frankly a little dangerous to mine. So according to MIT, running a coal mine can cost anywhere from $500 million to $1 billion. Costs include buying the land that the coal is buried underneath, using and maintaining equipment, doing equipment repairs and maintenance in order to make sure that everything is running smoothly. You also have to pay your workers running the machines and mining the coal. And you have to pay in order to do reclamation, that word that we just talked about in our first discussion question. So reclamation is a federal law where coal mines and the people who own them are required to return the land that has been mined after they're done mining all of the coal to its original or improved condition. This is just to ensure that any land that is being used is, being put back the way it's supposed to be, so that afterwards, after all the coal is gone, that land can continue to be used for other purposes. So in order to understand the challenges that come with the coal mining industry, we are going to run this experiment about mining using cookie dough. So in order to do this experiment, you're going to need a couple of things. You are going to need one $20 bill, real or fake. If you don't happen to have a $20 bill at home, you can take out Monopoly money if you have Monopoly or some sort of board game that has $20 bills. You can print out a fake $20 bill, just don't try to go use it at the store. If you do not have a regular $20 bill, but you have some combination of bills that adds up to 20, that works too. So you are also going to need chocolate chip cookie dough. I went out to the store safely with my mask and social distancing, and I bought a roll of raw cookie dough. I happen to buy the Pillsbury brand, but if you like a different brand, you can get that as well. Or if you want to be really creative and really, intuitive, you can go and make your own homemade cookie dough. Normally when I bake cookies, I make it from scratch, but for the sake of this exercise, I figured it would be easier to just buy pre-made cookie dough. You are also going to need a sheet of grid paper, which I will be sending you the link to the PDF for this piece of grid paper, and you can print it out. You are also going to need a blank sheet of paper. Normally I would say use the back of your grid paper, but the grid paper is going to get a little messy because we will be putting cookie dough on it. So that may smudge anything you write on the back of it. So let's waste a tree this time. You're also going to need a pencil. You're going to need a small paper clip as well as a big paper clip. And you're going to want a set of tweezers. If you don't have any tweezers, you could get, I would say, a spoon, like a small spoon, or a fork, or anything that you can use to like scoop the way that a pair of tweezers would. And I have thoroughly sanitized my tweezers and my paper clips, but even though I've done this, I still would say do not eat any of the cookie dough that we are going to be touching these objects to, just for safety reasons, okay? So that's all that you're going to need in order to do this activity. Oh, excuse me. And we are going to need to cut up some of the cookie dough. So if you have a dull knife at home, that's great. If you need a sharp one though, have an adult nearby to help you cut it, okay? All right, so our cookie dough is going to represent a mine full of coal. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna take if you have the pre-made cookie dough like I do, you're gonna wanna take it out of the wrapper, okay? Like I said, I washed my hands before I started, so you're gonna wanna do that too. If you have not already, pause this video and go wash your hands, okay? And what you're gonna wanna do is you're going to want to cut three sections of your cookie dough. Or if you have homemade cookie dough, you're gonna roll it into balls, okay? You're going to want to cut or roll one small section, a medium section, and a large section. So let me show you what I mean here. So I've got my roll of cookie dough, and I'm just gonna slice. So I've got this, this very thin slice of cookie dough. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. And then I'm gonna cut another one. So I've got this one, which is more of a medium size piece. And then I'm going to cut a big one, like a big fat piece of cookie dough. So I've got this piece here that is large. And you may want to also, I forgot to mention earlier, you may want to have some paper towels on hand in case your fingers get really sticky when you're handling the raw cookie dough, okay? So if we look, once again, I've got my small piece of cookie dough, I've got my medium, and I've got my large. So these three different sizes of cookie dough represent three different types of mining properties. And so if you look, once again, you have $20. This $20 represents your starting out budget to start your own mine, okay? You have $20 to spend. Your end goal is going to be to try to either make back whatever money you lose or to make more, okay? So when you make back the money that you lose, it's called breaking even. So your goal is to either break even or to make more, which is a profit. Okay, so as I said, you have $20 to spend. You have three mining properties that you can invest in. You have your small mining property, Montana, which is $3. You have your medium mining property, Pennsylvania, which is $5. And you have your large mining property, Kentucky, and that is $7. Now, before you make any hasty decisions and think about which property you want to buy, take a moment to think about what the benefits or the negative sides could be to each type of mining property. Because while you may decide that, oh yes, I want to buy this big piece of mining property because it has more chips in it, you may be limited by your materials or your time as to how you can take out that coal. So you really want to take a moment to think about it before you make any decisions. Once you have decided, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take that blank piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my base $20 at the top, right? Because that's how much you had to start out with, is $20. And now you need to decide which mining property you're going to buy. And just to refresh your memory, the little one, Montana, is $3. The medium one, Pennsylvania, is $5. And the big one, Kentucky, is $7. So I think I'm gonna go with Pennsylvania, the medium one. I'm gonna buy Pennsylvania. So now that I've decided which property it is that I want to buy, I need to subtract that cost from my initial budget because I have now just spent $5 to buy my mining property. So take that base 20 and subtract $5 from it. I now have $15 left in my budget that I can spend. So you may be thinking to yourself, okay, well, I've bought the mining property. What else is there that I need to spend? Well, you also need to buy supplies because let's face it, you can't go down and dig coal with your bare hands. You need tools. So now that we have our mining property, and I'm going to set my other two aside here and just leave my medium-sized one, you need to buy some mining tools. So this is where our 2 paper clips and tweezers are going to come in handy. So a small paper clip is $2. Now, you may buy as many of these as you want. If you've got a couple lying around the house and you want to buy more than one tool, you have the money in your budget to do so. Or if your tool breaks when you're in the middle of doing your mining, you can buy a replacement tool. So you've got a small paper clip that you can use to mine with. You also have a big paper clip that you can use to mine with. And the big paper clip costs $4. And you have the tweezers, which are $6. So just to refresh your memory, small paper clip is $2, big paper clip, $4, and tweezers are $6. So you need to really think here. Also, you want the best tools possible, but you also want to remember that your goal is to break even or to make a profit. So if you spend a lot on tools, it may be more difficult to do so later on. So I think I'm going to splurge and buy the tweezers, which is $6. So I had $15 left over from when I bought my property. I've just bought a $6 piece of equipment. So if I do 15 minus 6, that would be $9. So I have $9 left to spend. So if while I'm mining my tweezers break, or if I decide that I want a different tool, I've got $9 in my budget that I can spend. So next, what we are going to do, and this is going to make sense later on when we finish our mining, that piece of graph paper that you have, you're going to want to take your mining property and put it on your graph paper. And you're just going to want to trace around the shape of your mining property, okay? So if I go along here and I trace along the edge, it's a little curvy because of the shape of the dough. All right, perfect. So I've got my piece of mining property traced. And as I mentioned earlier, when you put your cookie dough on the sheet, it is going to make it messy. So that's why you want a separate sheet of paper. Now what you're gonna wanna do, you're gonna wanna count the number of squares that are inside your circle, and half squares count as a full square, okay? So if I'm looking along here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 46, 47. 70, 71, 72, 80. I have 89, so you're gonna wanna also write that down on your separate sheet of paper. I started out with 89 squares as the total number in my property, okay? So take a moment right now, pause the video, count how many squares you have, and write it down on your separate sheet of paper. All right, so we have our mining property. I have a tool, and I still have $9 left in my budget. My goal is to make more than that in order to make more money. So every minute that you spend mining coal, every 1 minute, that costs $1 of labor because you need to pay your workers to mine your coal for you. So we are going to take 5 minutes max to mine as much coal as we can from our dough. Every chocolate chip that you pull from your dough represents a piece of coal, and every piece of coal that you mine is $2. Broken chips can be combined to form a whole chip. And remember, any chips consumed eats into any profit you may make. So keep that in mind if you're tempted. So like I said, you get 5 minutes total to mine your cookie dough. The less time you spend, the less you pay in labor. Because remember, 1 minute of mining is $1 in labor that you have to give to your workers. So when you finish mining, record how much time it took for you to do so and the labor cost, okay? So take a minute now, pause the video, and when we come back, we'll record how much time it took and we'll start to calculate how much it cost and how much you made. All right, we'll see you guys in a minute. All right, so now that our 5 minutes are up and we've finished with mining out the coal, what we have left over is this raw cookie dough, right? That raw cookie dough represents the land that is left over after coal mines are completely depleted of their coal. And as we mentioned earlier, we have to do something called reclamation. Take a minute to remember what reclamation means and then come back. All right, so now that you've refreshed your memory, reclamation is that federal law that says that any land that is used for coal mining must be put back in its original or improved condition. So we have just mined a whole bunch of a whole bunch of chocolate chips out of our cookie dough mine, right? Now we're left over with this raw cookie dough. So remember that grid sheet of paper that you used to trace your cookie dough mine? Now you have 3 minutes. 3 minutes using your tools and only the tools that you purchased. You're all done mining now. All you have is what you've already bought. Using the tools that you have purchased, not your hands or anything else, you have to put back the land that is left over for that reclamation. So take 3 minutes now. You've got 3 minutes to put your property back to the way it was in the circle that you drew on your grid paper. So any square that you cover outside of your circle when you're putting your land back is an additional $1 reclamation fee. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're putting your cookie dough back the way it was. So take 3 minutes now, try to put your cookie dough back the way it was and see what you come up with, all right? Great. All right, how'd we do? So thankfully, I was able to put my land back entirely within the circle without having to pay any reclamation fees. So I don't have that additional cost when it comes to my final profit. So now take that blank sheet of paper. As you remember, you had to write down how many squares your circle originally fit, how long it took for you to mine all of your coal, and then how many chocolate chips that you were able to get out of your mine. If you haven't written this down already, take a minute right now, pause the video to do so. So if you'll remember, I started out with $20, just like everyone else. I paid $5 for the medium Pennsylvania property, which left me with $15. Then I paid another $6 to buy my tweezers to use as a tool. So that left me with $9. At the end of the day, I was able to mine my cookie dough in 4 minutes. So remember, every minute of mining costs $1. So now I need to take $4 away from my $9 left, which leaves me with $5. Doesn't seem like very much, does it? However, when I finished and I counted up how many chocolate chips I have, see that nice pile right there? That's a good pile of chocolate chips. When I counted up how many chocolate chips I had, including the ones that I broke and was able to piece together with other pieces, I came up with 41 chocolate chips. Now, looking at that pile again, it doesn't seem like very much, but Scout's honor, it was 41. So if I take 41 chocolate chips and I multiply it at $2 a chip, that leaves me with $82 that I have made off of mining. I didn't have any reclamation fees that I had to pay because I was able to put my land back into the circle without overlapping anything. So if I take that $82 and I add it to my $5 that I had left over in my original budget, I come out with a profit of $87, well over the initial 20 that we started with. So now that we have finished our little experiment, take a minute, pause the video, and answer some of these final thoughts and questions, and then we'll all come back together. Was making a profit easier or more difficult than you expected, and why? Okay. Pause the video for a minute, talk amongst yourselves, and then we'll answer another question. All right, so how accurate do you think this simulation was in illustrating the challenges of making money in the coal mining industry? Take another minute, pause the video, and then come back. All right, and our third and final question. What costs or possibilities for profits were not included in this experiment? Take a minute, pause it. All right, so now that we've had a chance to kind of discuss this and finish the experiment, if you have any of your cookie dough left over, please feel free to go cook it and make yourself a nice afternoon snack. Thank you so much for doing this experiment with me, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know I certainly did. And I hope that you were able to learn something about the coal mining industry. So, alrighty, have a great day, everybody.